So this video stems from a DM that I got from one of you guys, and they say, I just wanted to ask you what type of person you are because everything you were doing in the YouTube video seems exactly what I want to do with my life. And then that made me reflect, and that made me look back and all the love that you guys have given me based off my YouTube content over the years. And that made me develop this intricate, sophisticated framework that I use to navigate my military career to get me pretty much the life that I've always dreamed of, to have this guy dreaming and wondering what I'm going to be, confused, low confidence, weak, no money, ignorant, no girls, to becoming the same person, not becoming the same person, but being the same person, but living this version of life that's sought after by a lot of people. I'm a little bit more smarter. I can do whatever I want because I have the confidence to do whatever I want. Anything that I put my mind to, I can achieve. I'm not rich, but I'm not broke. I'm strong. I'm stronger than most. And I've, with the YouTube channel, I've been sponsored by a lot of companies that I would have never dreamed of being sponsored by. And so, because I genuinely believe the military allows us to live very, very similar lives, and we go through very, very similar, because before I tell you this, man, you guys need to know. In the military, we are all living very similar lives, and we go through the same struggles no matter if the jobs that we choose are different. We can all relate to each other. And so I'm going to tell you guys how to navigate your military career to go from something similar to this, confused about life, don't know what you want to do, to, I still don't know what I want to do, but at least I'm doing something with my life. You know what I'm saying, baby? So, like I said before, we're going to go over the traps that you guys want to avoid with your military career and the success, the things that are going to allow you to not fall in these traps, and the mindset, the physicality, and the community/finances that you should also get in the process. And before I go in detail about all of this, so you guys can reach your goals, get the girls, get the money, whatever you want to do, I have to tell you about myself first. But before I do that, for all the people who talk bad about the military and aren't proponents of the military, I just want you to know that this whole channel, this whole Aaron Badley channel, I'm not a recruiter. This video isn't to recruit you to join the military. This is just me simply, 5'7", 23-year-old black dude, just sharing my life experience with you guys, because a lot of you guys relate to me. I relate to a lot of you guys. And I'm just sharing my knowledge, what I've learned through the years, to get me from this to this. You know what I'm saying? And if you guys are one of the people who aren't a proponent of the military, I want you guys to put it down in the comments. Okay, what should people do? Because right now in America, we got people going to college and going into an industry where there's absolutely no jobs because AI completely changed the game up, or their job is being offshored to a different country. And so there's not really many options right now. And so if you're in the military, or you're thinking about joining the military, or you're out of the military, at least at the end of the video, you have some clarity to know at least you're not alone, and to kind of start from somewhere. And also, when you go to basic training, if you guys are in that stage, you guys go with the right mindset and go with the right tool set to focus on these traits that I'm going to share with you. So there you have it. And also, the video that was supposed to be uploaded today is still being edited by me / getting approved by sponsors. And historically, i.e. the video that was postponed because of that same reason, is blowing up right now. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. And also the video that I've posted before, because of this same exact scenario, the raw talks that we're doing right now, also blow up. You guys like them a lot too. So it's a win-win if you ask me. And so before I tell you about where I came from in my background, I have to tell you about myself currently. I'm currently 23. I'm currently married. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in cybersecurity and information assurance. I wouldn't say I'm smart, but I have the capacity to stick with something for a long period of time until the job is done. So with that being said, I got my Security Plus certificate. I got my Project Plus certificate. I got my Network Plus, A Plus, ITIL, all the fancy certificates that one should want if they want to pursue their cybersecurity information degree. I've been to like 5 different countries. Pretty dope opportunity the military gives you, traveling the world at a young age for free. And I have no regrets so far in life. I'm currently in the Army. I'm an E5. If you don't know what an E5 is, I'm a sergeant, and I'm currently and I've currently been in for 6 years. My goals are to make lots of money, provide for my family, be my own man, live my life to my fullest potential, have no regrets, and go to heaven. And so far, I've been knocking it out the park. And now, before we get to here, though, right? Before we get to here, we have to start from where we started at. Now, like you, I was just a high school teenager. I was weak. I didn't have a lot of confidence. I slept in my car for a little bit. If you guys want to know that story, put it down in the comments below. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I feel like a lot of you guys don't know what you want to do in life. And by the end of the video, I hope to provide you guys some clarity. And I graduated high school with a GPA of like 2.57 or something. I wasn't the best at school. And while I was in school, I went to ROTC. ROTC was cool, although I didn't really participate as much as I should have. And while in high school, I was working at Six Flags. When I was working at Six Flags, that kind of showed me that I did not want to work for the rest of my life. That kind of showed me that trading your time for money was no bueno, and I need to figure out how to make money by not sacrificing my time. And this was when your minimum wage was like less than $10. I was making like $9 an hour. I was working 40-hour shifts for like less than it wasn't a lot of money for the amount of work that I was doing. And so the things that I did right currently at this stage of my life, I was like 17, 18 years old. I realized time was on my side. And what do I mean by that? I realized that if I choose something now, right? If I plant seeds, if I keep forward momentum, if I start YouTube now, early on in life, it has the potential to become something bigger that I don't even think of right now. But I realize if I just do something and I stick with it, time is on my side because I'm 17 years old and I have time to keep working, keep grinding to see where it takes me. And then in addition to that, I developed hobbies that were sports and making videos like soccer, basketball, you name it. I'm an athlete. I'm a competitive person, but I also like to make videos. That's why I'm making this video now. I like to make videos. But, right, I want to know what kind of high schooler you guys were. Put it down in the comments. Were you the quiet kid or were you the athlete, the jock? I would consider myself the person that kind of got along with everybody. I had a great group of friends and we got along with everybody, pretty chill high school life. But, right, I need you guys to be prepared for, right? I need you guys to be prepared. Actually, let's do this, right? So that was me in high school, right? And since I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, I decided to join the Army. Why did I decide to join the Army? Because it gave me time to figure out what the hell I wanted to do in life. It gave me skills because if you guys don't know, I'm currently a 68 Echo dental specialist, right? I myself didn't know that was even a thing / occupation in the military, but my ASVAB score wasn't the highest. And so that was the best job on the list that the recruiter gave me. If I could go back in time, I would choose something IT related, which is why I'm switching to cybersecurity now after I retook my ASVAB test and got a bad score. But that wasn't me at the time. But the Army gave me the skills, or the Army will give me the skills, give me the time that I need to figure myself out. And it gave me exposure to different people. And more on that later, but this is very underrated. And also underrated, no bills, and it allowed me to travel the world. This is me in freaking Bali, baby. Freaking beach body in Bali. This is me in Toronto, you know what I'm saying? Living the good life, bro. But before we got there, we had to go to Army basic training first, right? And this is me at the age of 17. This is the phase in life where I transitioned from a civilian to a private of the United States Army. And so I went to basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, man. That was me. I wore glasses that made my eyes look huge. So I got bullied a lot. Basic training wasn't the funnest for people who look different. They said my glasses would stop 50 cal bullets. It wasn't cool, but it was just all character development. And you know what else basic training taught me? It taught me being away from home was pretty dope. and I can do it. I can, in fact, get outside of my comfort zone and survive. And basic training also was the first time I really suffered. When you guys go to basic training and you do these field exercises, you go over these combat obstacle courses, you do these hard things that you don't think you can do, you get a little confident. And so my confidence, I say confidence plus one because you will get confident. And also on top of that, you will gain professionalism because in basic training, the drill sergeant force you to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am to the DFAC workers. And so that kind of sticks with you later on in life. And I can't stress enough how hard and how tough the field exercises were. Just being in terrible environments, being wet, cold. This doesn't stop, by the way. But it just makes you a stronger person because, right, when we go into the do right section, I learned how to handle my emotions because when you go to basic training, you're going to have drill sergeants in your face yelling because if somebody on the street would just go in your face and yell at you, you would at least yell back, like, get out my face, et cetera, or physically assault them. But in basic training, you can't really do that. And what it teaches me, what it taught me was how to handle my emotions because as a 23-year-old, your emotions can get you in a lot of trouble if you act on them. And you got to learn how to control your emotions. And I also got stronger and I realized what I was capable of because I went into basic training at like 140 and I got out like at 160. So I was a completely different person after basic training. But the person that I was outside of basic training was the person I needed to be to do all of this stuff. More on that later. On top of that, basic training and AIT taught me time management because once you guys go through basic training, you guys get all these hit times, 0-600, this uniform, et cetera, et cetera. You guys kind of start to see what being organized with your time consistently does to you. And so if you consistently dedicate time to study for college, for an example, it leads to a degree. And also, I planted seeds and started YouTube. I'm now starting to see that it's working. I'm now starting to see through working out, right? Getting stronger in the military or basic training, I got stronger. I'm starting to see what consistency can do. And so before basic training, I did the usual, my MEPS experience video. That video got a lot of views and the channel, even though I wasn't even posting at the time a lot, was starting to grow. And I was like, I can't stop. And that's why I never stopped. And also my advice here is to, actually, we're going to move this advice to the next column over. But pretty much, basic training is the place where you transform from a civilian to a soldier. There are some traits, your mindset, there are some traits in your mindset that you need to have as a soldier. You need to have discipline. You need to have resilience. You need to have a growth/positive outlook on life. You need to have perseverance. You need to be able to overcome failure. And we'll get on that later. All of these traits will also allow you to become a very successful person outside of the military, depending on how you use them and how you focus them. And so, now we're outside of basic training AIT. We got stronger, faster, and we got bigger, right? Now, right, we're going to go to our first unit. And before we get to our first unit, we have to say goodbye to all of our homies that we made. And this is where I say it exposed me to different people because, this dude's from Texas, this dude's from California, I'm from Illinois. We would never have been friends in a different scenario if we weren't forced to be not only roommates, but battle buddies in basic training and AIT. But we developed this lifelong friendship and we still talk seldomly to this day. That would have never happened. But unfortunately, you have to be prepared for this, where you have to say goodbye to your homies. And this brings depression, heartbreak. Some of you guys are going to meet a girl that you really like and it just doesn't work out. Some of you guys are going to go into the military and you guys are in a relationship and it just doesn't work out. She cheats on you, she breaks up with you, etc. I'm telling you this now because it happens to everybody. So don't beat yourself up. you are going to, right? It all connects. It all connects. You're going to use these to help when this happens, right? Where's my marker at? Where's my marker? When this happens, right? You need to fall on these, whether it's playing sports, making videos, working out. You need to do this to distract you from these, bro. And also, people are going to ask you for money when they kind of realize that you have no bills, right? That's up to you to handle. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Don't go broke trying to help other people, bro. But now that you have experienced all of this stuff, now we're going to talk about the potential traps. Now we're going to talk about the potential traps and the things you need to do to avoid those traps when you get to your first duty station, right? So, and that's going to come into this soon too. So when I got to my first duty station, it was Fort Drum. And me being a dental assistant, I'm thinking like, okay, cool, right? I'm a dental assistant. My life should be cool. My life should just look like this, in a clinic, chilling, not having to worry about being outside, being in the suck. I passed basic training at AIT. My life is done, that part of my life is done. I don't need to suffer anymore. Wrong. I get stationed at Fort Drum. I get stationed with a field unit, and I'm going on field exercises pretty frequently. I'm sucking. It sucks. My first unit was a little rough. The people in charge of me weren't the best. Dealing with people's egos in charge of you wasn't the best. But, right? But we have been here before, and we did what? We learned to handle our emotions, because boys, you cannot act on your emotions. You have to deal with them the logical way. If somebody's abusing you, don't get into any physical altercations that's going to jeopardize your career. Go to IG, take it up the chain of command, because you've proven to yourself in basic training AIT that you can do that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing past this point that you cannot overcome. Once you overcome all of this in basic training AIT, anything past this, you can overcome and you can achieve, because you've already proven yourself. You already have these traits and mindsets. You're good. But if you fall into these traps, you're going to forget about all of this. And so I went to Fort Drum. It was my first taste of real life. It was the first taste of being an adult without my parents' supervision. I was, partying, the usual, drinking alcohol, the usual, you know what I'm saying? But being in Fort Drum, it was just intense amounts of suffering. But I went to Toronto, Canada. It's pretty dope. Got to explore a little bit of the world. And this is what I did right? Tried a bunch of stuff. I failed a lot. I made a lot of money quickly. You guys have to realize that if you guys are young in the military, bro, the world is your oyster. Try as much stuff as possible, because the military will be there if you lose all your money, like me, when I made a lot of money doing options in the stock market. But, I lost it all. I learned my lesson. But more importantly, I learned that I indeed could make a lot of money quickly. I did not have to sacrifice my time for money. And so what I'm getting at is, I made a lot of money and I tried a lot of things. I built my own crypto mining rig in the barracks, and I also built passive income. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning that I myself am capable of doing cool shit. And also, the YouTube channel was kind of getting some traction. I'm like, yo, YouTube kind of popping right now. So popping that the United States Army flew me out to talk about retention slash enlistment in front of every recruiting command in the United States of America. And I'm talking and I'm sharing my story about how just little old me here became this person, how the Army helped me become, this super cool, cool dude that I'm proud of and that people, look up to, and all this other stuff. And so, yes, try a bunch of stuff, learn to not give an F quickly. You guys have to realize you guys have to use this time to just live your life, man. Be free, do cool things. And when you do that, you meet cool people and you hang out, you gain homies, pretty dope. And you also start to learn your strengths and your weaknesses. I went to air assault school, go to all types of Army schools. I gained discipline and I was more perseverance, you know what I'm saying? And I became more resilient. All of this stuff, you're just building on top of the things that you learned in basic training in AIT. If you don't fall into these traps, right? And this is so common in the military. Alcohol is very big in the military. I used to drink a lot, and the trap of alcohol is that you're gonna just do the same thing every weekend. You're just gonna go out and drink, and it's fun at first, cool, but it gets old, and it gets old fast, and you become an alcoholic. No, don't do that. Have a good time, drink responsibly, but do it in moderation. Don't fall into the trap of just that becomes your personality, because it will detract you from this that I will show you after I talk about the next trap. Having children. You guys are going to be young. You guys are going to, have fun and all this other stuff, but have fun responsibility. Once you have a child that you don't plan for, it changes your life very drastically. And it may cause you to stay in the Army longer than you thought you were going to stay in for. And also, marriage is a huge thing in the military as well. A lot of you guys are going to meet different people that you like a lot, but being in the military, it kind of forces you to fasten your life a little bit and make big time decisions without really knowing the person. So, even though I am married, really get to know a person before you make this big step. Go through long times with not talking to them. Go through deployment/field exercises. Really get to know this person. Do not marry them just because you went to basic training AIT with them. You guys are in that environment, but that environment is not the outside world. You have to see this person through all types of life events before you guys should put a ring on it. And also, you guys don't know if their financial philosophy fits with yours, because you trying to save money, but your spouse doesn't believe in that and wants to eat out all the time. It's not going to work. And also, drugs, smoking marijuana, and all this other stuff. You guys might fall into this trap as a coping mechanism when you guys do go to your first unit. Maybe your first line isn't the best, and so instead of these, you go into this. No, you're gonna pop out on the drug test because you are drug tested regularly, and you're gonna get kicked out the military, and your life isn't gonna be so well. You're not gonna get the benefits, and you're gonna just waste your time. I would rather you do this, which is buy a fast car and get into a lot of debt, than do this, because at least you get to stay in the Army. You can kind of dig yourself out of the hole. But if you do this and this, you're going to get kicked out of the military. You're not going to have that stable paycheck to pay for this, right? But this next one is buying a car that you can't afford / get into a lot of debt early. Do not do this. You want to stack your bread. You want to figure out the amount of money you need to contribute to your TSP in your first contract that guarantees you $1 million by the time you're 60. Literally put this into Chat GPT and just do it. So by the time you are at your end of your first contract, you are confident and you don't have that stress like having to save for retirement, because you already did that by your first contract. That's my advice. But, right, in order to avoid these, as soon as you get to your first new unit, reevaluate your goals, right? Go to Army schools. I went to Air Assault school. You guys need to focus on something as soon as you guys get to your first unit, because up until arrival to your first unit, your goal was to get past basic training, get past AIT. But now you accomplished it. You need to get new goals. You need to keep chasing new goals and keep them in view. I literally have my whiteboard of my goals so I don't forget. And they could be going to college. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. Going to Army schools. I want to go to airborne school. Army teams, bro. You could be a part of the skydiving team, the Army marksmanship team, sports teams. They got a soccer team, football team, all types of stuff that you could be interested in, that you need to be focused on. Side hustles, drop shipping, being a barber, learning how to do all these different skills, because let's be honest, there's so many things you can do and make money off of. Focus on these so you don't have to rely on these to make it through your Army career, bro. But that being said, the Army is kind of like high school, where you're going to go to a different unit. And so from private to corporal, I kind of started to realize, like, okay, the Army's cool. It's not that bad. It's doable. I know how to deal with people who are assholes, and I know how to stick up for myself. I've learned about my identity. More importantly, I learned how to be by myself, because you are going to be by yourself within these periods of time, right? And that's where you rely on your continued hobbies, right? And that's where you also rely on not giving enough. So you're comfortable being by yourself. You're comfortable going out and exploring different towns and cities that you get stationed there. And it's pretty dope. And so to this point, right, this is where you start to see your hard work pay off. You're slowly starting to see it clicks. It's slowly all starting to make sense. You get a new group of friends. I got married. Your seeds are starting to blossom. My YouTube channel's popping. I'm getting lots of sponsors. Your hard work's paying off because I never stopped, and I learned about myself, and I learned what worked for me. I learned what system works for me, what environment works for me. But I got burnt out in the process. I was stressed out, and I got more responsibility because at this point, right, I'm a sergeant. I'm an E5 in the military, right? That's me, E5, making sure a captain knows how to do a function check on an M4 before we go to the range. And my hands down in the pockets, I'm getting something, okay. But with all that being said, I was able to get to this point because of the beginning, right? Inadvertently, I got these traits in my mindset, and it kind of led me to, right, always wanting to provide value with anything I do in life, whether that's being a video creator or just a soldier working for my first sergeant or etc. I always want to provide value. And that shows, right? My physicality. You guys can obviously see that I work out and I'm consistent and I'm dedicated and I have discipline. And what that does is, right, it's all coming to full circle. You start to align with people who are also on the same type of timing, right? The world isn't as that it is, it's that you are. And so, whatever you have been working towards by this point in the game, your world should be what you've been working towards. So, I have people that I know who have a Ferrari and they can teach me how they got a Ferrari. I own a home. I know other homeowners. I know other video creators because I like to make videos. And my life is pretty dope, but it took a lot of hard work. And in the process, I attracted a lot of like-minded people. But also, I learned to vet people as well, because there's going to be a lot of people that distract you from your purpose. There's going to be a lot of people that want to take you off track, but you can't do that. And you combine all of that, you get your goal. Whatever financial goal you want, you will damn near be 90% close, if not already there by this point in your life. And I want to point out that joining the Army exposed you to different people. It's such an underrated thing because I'm a private. I'm a 17, 18-year-old, right? I have the opportunity to work with a captain in the military, somebody who went to college to become a freaking doctor because, right, I'm a dental assistant. I work with doctors. And so my first doctor that I worked with, shout out to him, he told me about Bitcoin. And I did not invest. I should have, but Bitcoin was trading at like $20,000 at the time. It dipped down to like maybe 15 to 12K sometimes. But he introduced me to crypto, right? And that led me to make my own mining rig where I mined Ethereum, and I got a little bit of Ethereum. And also, right, when you're working towards yourself, you're getting physical, you're getting your mindset in shape, your community starts to align. You're going to get people that are also on the same timeline where you don't feel as alone anymore, because it's also a lonely journey just trying to chase your goals. But if you open yourself up, you talk to people, you go to environments where other people who share the same goals as you would go, you're going to be fine. And so at the end of this video, I want you guys to know, with the right mindset, with the right physicality, community, framework, whatever you want to call it, you can be this person who has these big dreams, but also be the person who actually accomplishes them and is successful and has no regrets, has a fulfilled life. And so I want you guys to take this video as inspiration, motivation to not get complacent. I want you guys to achieve your goals, by making more goals once you achieve your goals. That's all that life is. To be honest, to me, life is about the journey, because like achieving multiple goals is like, damn, bro, it's kind of crazy. But it also gets harder to get more goals because you slowly get comfortable. But you have to keep your foot on the gas pedal. That's pretty much it, though, boys. That's pretty much what I've done to get to this point where somebody is saying, your YouTube video seems exactly what I want to do in my life. That's what I did, boys. That's what I did. I got girls. I got girls. What am I even trying to say, bro? Whatever you want, you know what I'm saying? Whatever type of metric that you guys use for your success, that's what I used to got. This is what I did to achieve my metric of success. But if you guys like the video, thumbs it up, comment down what you guys think. Much love. Peace out. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about these videos, boys? Comment down below.